Game 3 at the Blizzard Cup, and we have a different matchup for you guys. We have a Terran versus Protoss. Our Terran player on screen already played one best of 3 today. He lost against DRG. This is for Incredible Miracle.
AGIM MVP.
MVP. The lone wolf Terran player in the Blizzard Cup. He's up against a strong opponent. Starting in pink, we have to the left side of the map for StarTale.
PartinG.
Kaldor actually owns the mouse that he used to destroy all of his opponents in both those tournaments that got him here.
Exactly. We had the friendly banner going on for months, and then in the end he told me that if he takes WCG, he's gonna keep me the mouse. I will never forget when I came into the booth. I mentioned that in one of the earlier casts already. At WCG, I played the final, and I walked into his booth just before the game started, and I wanted to wish him good luck. And he just turns around, sees that it's me, puts the mouse up, points at it, and is like, "Soon it's gonna be yours." I'm like, "Okay, buddy, that's fine." And he actually came through.
When you make a bet like that, it's kind of like it's a win-win, because if you win the tournament, then you win the tournament. It doesn't matter about the mouse anymore. You lose the tournament, you can keep your mouse, I guess. So, you know, whatever.
That would be an expensive mouse then, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, PartinG and MVP, they have a little bit of a history, and not such an extensive one as other players in Korea, but they faced each other twice. Back in May, we had MVP with a 3-1 victory over PartinG.
Siege tank push on Ohana, man, that series definitely comes to mind.
Yeah. And also in the OSL, they faced each other once. It's of course a best of 1 series, but PartinG was able to take that one. So that was the last time that they faced each other in a match, and that was back in September.
Yeah, it's been a little while. They have some history though, for sure.
You know, for a long time, PartinG was known for his amazing Protoss versus Terran. I actually had the pleasure to cast his first games in Code A when he made an appearance for the first time. That was back in the GOM office, actually. It was one of those side streams that we had.
That was a long time ago.
Back then, nobody knew PartinG. I had no idea about the guy. Nobody did, and I just casted those games, and he played, I think, against... it was either against Top or the Best, one or the two of them, and he demolished them with the Storms. And he was the first guy who really started to use his robotics, not for Colossi, but just for a lot of observers to get the kind of legal map hack, and went into Storms. But
he also showed some of the fastest third Nexus builds into 8 gateway pressures that we've ever seen. He really innovated that type of play as well.
Exactly. But these days, I talked to him just a week ago, and he said that he does not feel too happy about his Protoss versus Terran. It's one of the matchups where he suddenly doesn't feel that comfortable anymore. He's like, well, it was my strongest matchup, but I feel weird playing it. And he said it, and then crushed Center with a 2-0 in the 3rd round of Code A, advanced back to Code S. So I'm really interested to see what he's going to do coming up against such a strong player as MVP now.
Yeah, and you know, part of the problem for PartinG is he's been playing all these tournaments where he ends up going into the finals and semifinals where there are very few Terrans to face. So now things are a little bit different here. In this tournament, he actually is facing the only Terran that the tournament has to offer him.
And talking about the only Terran here, we mentioned his record against Zerg, but just to give you a few information about his TvP, we have him with a 63% win ratio with 130 games played. And his recent history in Code A, he defeated Flying with a 2-0. He took down SOS with a 2-0. He lost to Creator in the last Code S season, but from all the games that I can see here, that was actually his last loss against Protoss. He took even best of 3 against Rain with 3-2. So MVP really, really strong in this matchup. And he needs a win here. He already lost to DRG, so he's like in this group one of those players who wants to win right now, because if he loses this series, he's down 0-2, and that's like always so uncomfortable. Then you need to just hope for a tie.
Exactly, you rely on your opponent's mistakes rather than your own, so it's very important for MVP. And really nice micro from PartinG here, but MVP pulls back the very weakest Marine, so he doesn't lose a single one, so that was actually pretty evenly traded for both players.
And both of them are going into expansion play here. Triple barracks already for MVP, is now getting the factory, Stim on its way, whereas PartinG starts things off with the robotics here.
Nice, try to sneak by here by MVP, but PartinG is on top of everything right now, just very aware with his first Stalkers, taking his 3rd gas now. And I wonder if we're just going to see, I mean, what I expect to see is one Robotics Warband and a Forge coming down, going to go into upgrades one by one, and then slowly catch up into the double Forge. Make one Colossus, then go into Templar. that type of style from PartinG.
One of the most memorable games that MVP probably ever played against Protoss was the GSL season where he won against Squirtle, against a fellow team member of PartinG, another StarTale player. And now, now he's up against PartinG here, who goes into the Twilight Council. So you might just see him... do you think we're going to see...
Forge, I was actually expecting him to go to Robotics Support Bay first, but PartinG's style is more so to go leaning towards that Templar tech. And I think he's going to have to make a tough choice, though. With the Observer, you can see the Starport timing. Now he's going to have to choose, do I want Charge or do I want Blink? And on this map, I think he's going to choose Blink.
There's just so much surface area or so many cliffs where you can blink up if you have the high ground vision. But both of them are playing a very, very passive game one.
Yeah. Plus, you know, with Blink, it's very good defensively. Whereas on this map, with using Zealots with all the high ground and low ground, MVP can just attack from the low ground against melee units. Zealots on the high ground not going to be too useful with Charge, so Blink is much more useful to shut down those drops.
And while we are having a bit of a downtime, there were a few things that we touched on a few months ago, and I just want to point that out because PartinG is making that perfectly. We had these issues, and the Creator was one of the Protoss players that was affected because that was the reason why he lost his best of 3. When you are up against the Terran players, Protoss on this map, most Protoss used to build their tech structures coming from PartinG's position at the bottom left, at the top left of their base. And this is the really most vulnerable position if a drop hits you. And PartinG, as you can see on screen, or could see on screen a second ago, builds his tech structures at his natural. This is just one of the shifts that we had in the meta game, where Protoss players started to react to this drop aggression. And as I mentioned earlier, Creator actually lost on this particular map a best of 3 because his Robotics Bay was sniped and he didn't have extended thermal lance. So it's really nice to see that players like PartinG, the best players in Korea, are really adapting to this and now just forcing themselves to build those important tech structures at the natural where they are much better protected.
Yeah. And now his force for MVP is not quite strong enough. In fact, it's so much not so that PartinG is willing to bring across the map and attack. This is the opposite of what you normally see. PartinG is part of his units really well here. He's got a great composition to cut Zealots out of the picture. Knowing that with good Blink Stalker Micro, he should be able to hold long enough to get that +1 armor attack out, or +1 armor upgrade out.
Nice. Look at this field so far.
Yeah, good force fields and good Blink Micro. His high ground vision is his only problem here, but he's got just enough to move up the ramp, losing no Stalkers, picking off a medevac, gets several of the Marines. He's going to lose one of his sentries here, though.
Yeah, nice Blink as well, so really well done. Here comes the second Guardian Shield and he turns around and tries to pick up a couple of units.
Oh wow, that was beautifully done. Forces another sim. Yeah, the sentry's going to die, but that's fine considering all he's done here. He's got the Zealots warped in now.
You know, at least he traded. He knew that he was in cooldown again. Well, he could use the cooldown. So he's like, okay, well, just pop the Guardian Shield, turn around, take down a few Marines. You're going to lose the sentry anyways, but at least you can blink away before you lose any Stalkers and you will have traded a little bit more cost efficiently.
PartinG needs to take that third base. He actually makes it in the face of a Marine. The Marine actually standing on top of that Nexus when he makes it.
Talking about cost-efficient trades, PartinG so far lost a lot less resources than MVP, but you can see that MVP is ahead in supply.
Massively so.
Yeah.
He's got a very awesome timing here. If he splits his units well, he should be able to do some damage, maybe even force a cancel on that third base. That's what's ideal. I think we might see that push I like to call the lazy boy push from him. Yeah, he's actually pulling the SCVs right now because he knows he's behind, man, and he knows that the third Nexus is going up. Storm is going to be on the way soon. He cannot afford to take a late third himself.
And look at the timing, man. The Storm is just halfway done. There's no way that he will be ready for this fight. And PartinG doesn't even know what's coming. This is a massive amount of SCVs that MVP just pulled.
Yeah, he's doing that 2-base push where you know you're behind.
He just saw it with the Observer. He knows what's coming.
And here we go, Zealots charging in, Storm is not ready. Third base is cancelled already for PartinG.
Oh, actually Storm is going to finish in this fight, but when? That's the question.
He needs to get the Templar on the high ground, I feel, so he can get the best Storms possible, but he's going to just keep him on the low ground. A good Storm so far.
A decent one, but dodged.
The SCVs are melting here.
The SCVs are melting, but the rest of the army is still there, and the army supply is currently massively in favor of MVP. He has 80 against 46, and PartinG is running out of Storms.
He's running out of Storms, but he's still got his Templar alive. The probes come out here, a Storm goes down. It's not the best, but the second one is so good.
The second one is really good, but MVP still has the supply lead, and most of this is an army supply. But now
so
suddenly
many units can't stim anymore. They're so low in hit points, and he's got the damage, and he's got the upgrades, and MVP Can he push through? This is so close. He doesn't have
This is
medivacs
crazy.
anymore.
The medivacs are gone, and this is the one thing that PartinG did so well. This was even better than his Storms, taking the medivacs out.
His Archon micro there was insane. The charge zealot comes in. The Stalkers are going to blink for the chase.
Oh, wow. Wolf, this game isn't even over because we still have 25 harvesters against 31, and with
And
a
the
double
Nexus
mule,
was cancelled.
exactly, the third base was cancelled, and with a double mule that MVP has, he still has a good economy here. This is an intense game.
Yeah, he's got the Templar tech, of course, to use Storms, but that's not going to be as good aggressively as it is defensively. +2 armor. Now finishing up for PartinG. This puts our upgrades, of course, for MVP at 1-1. Upgrades for PartinG at 2-0. Of course, that goes for armor, not for weapons. So it's going to be relatively even as far as the upgrades go.
What a battle, man.
Remember, though, Storm ignores upgrades, so Storm is going to be the key weapon of choice for PartinG. He doesn't have any Colossi. He's making some Immortals, which is actually really awesome when you have a low medevac count and also when the just force of your opponent is relatively small in general. This is sick, man, what we are watching right now. I can't believe they stabilized like this.
Yeah. Let's have a quick look at... well, resources lost is roughly even. It's actually not that much of a difference. And army supply is still in favor of MVP. Not by such a huge margin as it was earlier at 60 against 54. But still, if he's able to somehow dodge these storms...
Yeah, I feel like it's exactly that. It's not always about the army size in this particular situation, but more so about how the army is used. Can he dodge the storms? If so, he has the better composition. But if not, man, PartinG definitely does by far.
You know, he doesn't have any ghosts, so it's not like he can use snipes. He really has to dodge them.
Uh-oh, this drop could be exactly what he needs because there's nothing stopping him.
But
He sees it. He needs to get in there ASAP. The Stalkers blink in, just a few of them. Nice Q blink here. Should be able to shut these drops down. MVP is in trouble if he commits, and he does commit. Uh-oh.
But still, a lot of the units get dropped, and suddenly the Stalkers feel like they have to get out of there.
And MVP stims into the third base, but there is no third base.
Exactly, there's no third, and now once more PartinG focuses those medivacs that he can reach.
MVP eats a storm as well.
MVP is really in trouble now.
He needs a third base. You know, one of the strengths of Terran is that he can fly his main to the third.
Yeah.
But that's not what he wants.
The problem for him is just he can't attack up the ramp. It's just impossible against these Templars. There are 6 high Templars, and they will storm the hell out of his army.
PartinG has kept making probes. MVP, not so much. He actually is at 27 SCVs to 44 probes. Yeah, with fuels, that's pretty even, but if the game goes much longer, that's going to be the nail in the coffin for MVP.
And our Pink Panther is now walking up that ramp, trying to take the high ground, but MVP is ready. And the High Templars were not.
Ooh, that one was a good storm, but it's not enough to kill any of those units. The second storm and the third one are more deadly.
Ooh la la. And well, we have a couple of medivacs, but how many in total? 3, 4? 4.
No, just 4 in total here. MVP though, his economy is a little bit shaky, and there's a third Nexus up. PartinG actually has an ability to make a hidden Nexus if he has to cancel this one. I really, really like the position he's in at this point.
The thing is, though, that MVP's army supply is still superior because he did not focus on his SCV production. He relies a lot on mules.
Yeah, and PartinG relies a lot on storms with no ghosts on the map. This is not going to be easy.
Oh, he doesn't kill a single one.
Yeah, that's a big problem. MVP really wants to get that Nexus, but I'm not sure if he can do it. Time is running out for MVP. Third Nexus is up. He's going to have 3 base economy against 2 base MVP.
I'm actually impressed that he's still alive with all those high Templars around, but the problem is just PartinG just stays there and is like, okay, well, I don't care, just come. If you attack me, if you attack into me, I will just use storms and you have to back off.
Yeah, he doesn't hesitate to storm, man. I think PartinG is actually the best stormer in the world. Storm goes down again. Yeah, he doesn't kill a ton of units, but MVP feels awkward here. Needs to get those Zealots in front, and there they are. They've got the better upgrades too. MVP in a lot of trouble. The Immortals even doing some extra damages. This is the end of MVP in game 1.
Nice drop, so nice split so far, but look at the supply and all these storms coming down. Everything is just dying here, there's no way.
GG, what a sick hold from PartinG there. The game stabilized for a moment from PartinG with his better economy, with his great storms, was able to take game number 1. And this puts MVP in a very uncomfortable position. If he loses game number 2, he may not be able to get out of this group.
Wow. That was really something. I mean, PartinG just takes this win on a tier shipyard. MVP, not too confident here. Down a game in the best of 3 and up against one of the best Protoss players in the world now. This is going to be so difficult. And that first fight, man, when he pulled the SCVs, that was crazy. They kind of evened out, but it was the better tech for PartinG that really gave him the advantage and the edge over MVP.
Yeah. No ghosts, no ability to fight the Templar. PartinG taking that upgrade advantage lead. First having 2-1, then having 2-2 there at the very end. Good day for Protoss so far, for PartinG that is anyways. And map number 2 is actually the choice of MVP, and he chooses Entomb Valley. I feel we may see a 2 Barracks proxy. If he chooses Entomb Valley specifically, you know, that could have also been the case for a map like Gohana though.
MVP versus PartinG. It is the second game, and MVP, he needs the win. He needs a victory here. He needs to win this map. If he doesn't, then he is 0-2 in the group. PartinG, on the other hand, it's still his first best of 3. If he loses here, of course, it's a bit of
it's
upset for him,
but it's not the end of the world.
Fine, exactly.
PartinG is typing in chat that he is ready. Both of them setting their air conditioning, it looks like. As we go into game number 2, MVP 1 game away from disaster. Will PartinG serve it up to him on a platter, or will MVP tie